evening, please join me for the pledge.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We could just for a second, we could just have a quick moment of silence for the victims of 9/11. Thank you.
Under the roll call, Tom Roach is here, Ella Collins will be absent this evening, John Williamo here, Timothy Clark here, Kelly Basher here, and Audra Hall here. Okay. Recognition says we're going to forego that this evening, and we have a couple of special recognitions.
I do. We'd like to thank our Fort Edward Parent Teachers Organization for their generous donation of a weatherproof deck with some awesome playground toys. Their donation and efforts will provide our students with a better playground experience. Thank you to all those involved. Appreciate it. We want to thank the United Way and the Niemer Motor Car Corporation for their generous donation of school supplies. The United Way will be tabling at our open house, so all of you listening out there, please show your support to the United Way by visiting their table at our open house on September 28th. Thank you, Mrs. Russo, for that confirmation. This is at least the second year that the Niemer Motor Car Corporation has donated school supplies. We thank them both, the United Way and Niemer Motor Car, for their support of our community and our children. And that's all I have for our recognitions.
Thank you. All right, any community comments?
No.
No. So know that. Next up is a presentation from Ms. Samako. How are you?
Greg, how's it look on the screen?
You see it okay? You want lights in the room?
I believe you can see it well.
Okay, so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how our Summer Academy program went this summer. So you see lots of happy faces, and I wanted to kind of start out and tell you a little bit about some of the changes that we made for the program for this past summer. A lot of the changes came as a result of the parent survey, the student survey, and the faculty and staff feedback and survey. So we started, we incorporated a few new weekly themes as per our students. So they came up with the robots and ocean explorers theme. We improved the registration process by using a QR code. We updated some absence tracking and a follow-up system, so it kind of went quickly, incorporating our nurse into that as well this year. And it actually brought in a few of our students in 7th and 8th grade if they were oversleeping, so that was great. We created as a team student progress reports. So even though it's a short period of time that they're here in the summer, that was some feedback that we had received last year, and so the team got together and worked on a student progress report for each student at each grade level. We also added in some technology. Mr. Herman joined our team this year for grades 7 and 8, and we incorporated a few more mystery guests and kind of tried to focus in on some programs or presentations for our 7th and 8th grade group. So just some facts and figures. We went with a graphic organizer this year. You can kind of see 81% overall program daily attendance for students K through 8. If we look up at the box up in the upper right-hand corner, that's 100% of our students maintained those ELA and math skills, according to our pre and post, and all of this is up from last year. If we take a look at ELA, 88% growth, which is really hard to do in a short period of time. The goal is kind of maintain and not have that summer slide. So that's up from 72% in 2022 and 96% for math, up from 85% in 2022. So 6 was the average class size for our small instruction groups over the summer. 1 out of 3 children achieved perfect attendance. And you can take a look at those amazing reading minutes. We did form an alliance again with our Fort Edward Free Library and join their summer reading program, so that helps the students and it helps the library here in town. And just a quick fact from our survey, 100% of students say they liked coming to Summer Academy. And then at the bottom, we did again incorporate that student progress report. One side, I didn't put a lot of these examples up here of an exact progress report, but one side gave the parent information about the individual child, their effort, their achievement, and then the back kind of gave them a snapshot of what we covered in SEL, STEM, ELA, math, and across the board, any other personal messages from the student or from the teacher about that student. So again, just a bigger picture of just the K through 6 data for math and reading. And then 7 and 8, which again, these numbers are up quite a bit from last year as well. We did try to encourage attendance on a daily, weekly, and class basis. So the kids would get very excited when they would see the prize patrol coming around on the cart, and the 7th and 8th graders did as well. So I just took a moment and wanted to give you a little bit of a tour of some of the classes in action this year. We invited a former graduate of Fort Edward, who is a very successful doctor down at the University of Virginia. Dr. Kimberly Kelly was gracious enough to come on up, and she did 5 sessions with our students, mainly focusing in with our 7th and 8th grade students. We also introduced her to our science teacher, Ms. Toomey, and she's hoping to make a connection with students in class this coming up school year. But the kids were really, took well to her, and she put in a lot of time here over the summer during that week, so we thank her. So you can take a look at some of the happy faces. Activities range from small group reading, vocabulary review, high frequency review. Of course, the favorite was STEM. Again, we have some happy faces here from 2nd grade and 3rd grade, 4th and 5th. We also had Sean Weller come as one of our mystery readers during our Sports Mania week. The kids really enjoyed that. You can see our 5th graders with building their robots and programming them to do coding and things like that, which was a great experience. They did that in 5th grade with Mrs. Bump. And then 6th grade, we had a smaller group, but they really got into the literature study that they were doing with their chapter book and all sorts of journaling activities. So of course, we did keep in line with some of the SEL needs of our students, reinforcing those different themes throughout the program. So this over here on the left is like a little snapshot of the student progress report that the 7th and 8th graders would have been sent home. So it gave the parents a glimpse of what their child did individually, which due to confidentiality, I'm not sharing that. But we also gave them a snapshot of what they did overall and what topics they covered in each one of their classes. And same thing for 8th grade. The mystery guests were a great hit. They connected to our theme, usually involved science, technology, or literature. And it's definitely a great way to end our week during Summer Academy. Something we did a little bit differently this year is 1 week we had something geared towards the younger kids, which was the visit from Miss Emily Stark for our Folk Tales and Fairy Tales week. The older kids, we had Kurt Riley come in, who is a local gentleman who is a master scuba diver and parent here of 2 students in the district. So the kids really connected really well to him. And then we ended our program with Dr. Kimberly Kelly working with grades 4 and 5 on some coding. She made it into the 7th grade classrooms and did some other experiments with them, trying to get them excited about math, science, and how it kind of connects to the real world. And more importantly, how a girl growing up on McRae Street can go on to do some great things. So we again went ahead and sent out a survey to some parents and students. We had some positive feedback. I also like to kind of check in to see if there's a need or want for transportation, so you can kind of see the results there. I like to put in a couple quotes for the program. Students also completed that, and they give us some great ideas for themed weeks. So they came up with some interesting themes. Space would be another great one to kind of look into. And same thing with 3 through 6. So a few quotes from our friends on their student surveys. Teacher surveys we also sent out as well. When we take a look at the length of day, we're kind of right in line. Number of weeks, that I can tell you right now because our sample was pretty small. We have a kind of a split. The 7th and 8th grade team felt that it should be a little bit of a longer program, and that would also be something I would share in my recommendations for next year. So they had enough access to resources and things throughout the program, which is something we should be checking. If they didn't, we should probably readjust for the following. And I really like some of these takeaways. It is a different feel when you're working in smaller groups for the children. You're feeling like you're getting a little bit further ahead. You're getting to know those kids in a different light. Even in the 7th and 8th grade, it was great at the end of the program to be able to make some personal phone calls to parents where it might not always be, conversations that are as, 100% positive. It was great to make a few conversational phone calls to parents and let them know some of the growth that we had heard about and things like that. So it was good for establishing those relationships. And of course, Mother Nature was not so cooperative in the beginning, but we pulled it off. We did get to have the end of program celebration. 7th and 8th grade went to the bowling alley. They first had Dr. Kelly come in and do some great experiments with them, then went off to the bowling alley, and then our friends K through 6 went down for another great day at the Fort Edward pool. I'd like to say a shout out to the town of Fort Edward and the lifeguards and the recreation staff. We did a couple of adjustments with James and that program, adjusting the starting time of the field trip, so that also helped with our attendance, and I think helped with his attendance at the field trips. So just a couple things to improve upon, because we should reflect on some of this information we're pulling in from the students, the parents, and our team. Planning, earlier the better. Kind of being able to get some of those numbers a little bit earlier is always a good idea. Considering a separate program for the 7th and 8th grade from feedback from our team based more on like a credit recovery style format, a little bit further development in that, looking into maybe some other programs, updating and revamping the SEL focus now to incorporate our new positivity project would be a really good idea to continue to play on that, which we will at that point have embedded into our year-long school year this year, and then maybe continue to inquire about transportation for students as per the parent survey results.
Can you remind me, what is SEL?
What?
What is SEL?
Social emotional learning. So the whole thing is really, it takes a village. So lots of folks to thank. I won't read all of their names, but you can see them here, and I hope I didn't forget anybody, but definitely it takes a lot of folks to pull the program off, and I wanted to just take a moment and thank all of the folks who made it happen for our students. Are there any questions?
No, but I have a comment.
Yes?
This is unbelievably impressive. What a wonderful thing. This is the kind of energy and engagement that is going to make us a better place. Thank you very much.
Well, like I said, it definitely takes a village, so
Certainly
thank
does.
you for supporting it.
Everybody involved was, there's kids on my street that go to it, and I heard just excellent things, but
Good,
these numbers are unbelievable.
great, well, thank you.
No,
Thank you.
Nice job.
We have a budget finance and audit committee. Excellent notes were taken by Karen, who go out to the board. Some of just a brief overview, we're on time for the submitting everything, the audit on time. It won't be by the October 15th date, just because of a couple of hiccups along the way, but definitely will be in by the grace period date, which is November 15th. That's really what we're making sure is want to happen. We look fantastic. Great job, Chris and everyone on the budget. We're looking great. There'll be some movement of monies going to the project and things like that, but right now, you'll see it in your board reports. We're standing very well financially, so that's a good thing. That's a tribute to you guys, so thank you very much. All right, so that's with that. We have to schedule a personnel grievance negotiation committee meeting. Rich, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I have a few items that I'd like us to consider, and possibly bring FIDA back to the table and FEST. For example, just give you a quick one. We have an array of issues that I'd like, not issues, but items. Esports, it's a new club. Are we gonna pay them? Are we gonna ask them to be a volunteer? Like, we need to discuss that as a committee, and I'd like to bring that to the board. Bus drivers, we talked about trying to pay for CDLs with a 2-year commitment. I'd like to get that squared away. And then just one more example, because I like things in threes. We have aides that want to be TAs, or people that are coming in to be aides, and I want to be able to negotiate in that we will pay for the test, I believe it's 17 hours, so they can become a TA. Because TAs, we have a lot more flexibility within the schedule. So those are the things I want to bring to the personnel negotiations and agreements committee. So, Casey, can you remind us who's on that committee, please? Sorry. Unless you guys remember who's on that
I
committee.
think it's John, myself, and Ella.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the way it's right.
Since this isn't a negotiation, I think that I'm okay.
Okay.
So.
That is Tom, Ella, and John.
Let's throw a couple out to Ella. Available for.
Okay.
The number for the.
You guys can't meet until 6 o'clock, correct?
That would be,
Yeah, 6 o'clock.
Okay, so this Thursday, the 13th, I have open. I don't know if that works for anybody. John?
That's Wednesday.
Yep.
Wednesday. I think that's Wednesday.
Okay, that's one. Can we put that as one?
Yeah, let's.
So you got that, Casey, for the 13th is one.
Next week, I'm only available on Tuesday night.
Okay. So we're gonna have to pass that by. Let's see, oops, sorry. How about Wednesday the 27th?
I'm open then.
John? Yeah. Okay, why don't we start with those two?
Yeah, and we'll go on down.
What was the second date?
Wednesday the 27th.
No other committees need to meet right now.
I would like to get an athletic committee together, only because I'd like to start talking about the winter season. One thing that I would like to just, I'm gonna put this in for the notes and plant the seed with the board, is tonight you'll be approving, an employee who has a wonderful background in basketball. High school player, four-year player at Castleton. We already have approved a varsity basketball coach, and we have a modified coach, but we don't have a JV coach. But I'm not sure if the numbers will sustain a JV, but I think this individual, he needs to be a part of the program in some way, shape, or form, so I'd like the committee to discuss how we can make that happen in some way, shape, or form. That's one thing I'd like to discuss.
And that committee is John, Taylor,
That's it.
That's it, Christine.
That is currently it. That is currently it, just the two of you.
So,
anybody else want to step up on that flag?
really? Come on.
We need three.
Yeah, you should have three.
Sure.
All right, sure. What's a good date for either one of you two?
Like in September.
I think I'm tapped out for September, to be honest.
And let's go,
Well, wait, I'm sorry. I have Wednesday the 20th.
well, we have time to, I mean,
True.
Do you want to do it by email? Can we do that?
Well,
Or
let's
do you
do-
want to do it regular?
Let's look at just a couple October dates.
what's the October board meeting?
The 10th,
The 10th, right?
preferably, I'd like to try to meet before then.
Yeah. The 2nd, would that work for anybody?
Second works for me.
Yep, I can do that.
Okay.
October 2nd for
6
athletic.
o'clock or 10?
Yep.
Okay, great.
And it shouldn't take an awful long time, I wouldn't imagine.
All right, moving right along.
Wait, do we not have an athletic committee meeting scheduled for next Monday? I just looked at my calendar, it looks like we had one for.
I like where you're going, Taylor.
Well, strike that.
Okay, strike that one.
For what day?
September 18th.
I don't have it in my calendar.
I do. You do? Okay, I was gonna say, why do I have it in my calendar?
I don't have it in mine, and I can't make it.
Okay, October 2nd.
So sorry.
That's fine,
I didn't have it in mind either, so.
I was gonna say, maybe that's why he just deleted
Or
it.
we just made it up.
If anybody's deleting, it's the person that's controlling my calendar, Mrs. Ferguson.
You're up, sir. Superintendent.
Oh. Okay. All right. Okay, items since the last board meeting. We have increased our cybersecurity. Mr. Wagner provided our staff with a wonderful presentation on cybersecurity during our second conference day. Informed us that the two-step authentication for our staff is going to occur on October 1st. And he also guided us through changing our passwords and told us why we needed so many characters, so I thought that was great. Staff vacancies, at this point, we still have Spanish, but of course we have Mrs. Rivers, who is working with us now, but we're still looking for that. School psychologist, you will be approving a contract with Mrs. Freiberg tonight, but we do need we have to figure that out, and but we do have that posted as 0.6 to 1.0. We are looking for one aide or one TA. depending upon where our current hire goes. So we are hiring an aide tonight, but they have plans to be a TA. So if they do become a TA, we'll need an aide. If they stay as an aide, we'll need a TA. Making sense?
Yep.
Okay. And we're still looking for our special patrol officer, and I'm in contact with the sheriff's department on that frequently. Coaching vacancies, we did not fill our JV football position this fall. We are still looking for girls varsity basketball. JV boys basketball is still open. Bocce, I believe we're okay there, maybe, yes? Yep, we're good there, so I can take that off. And as always, we're looking for shot clock and scoreboard operators for the winter. Mr. Neuron could not be here tonight. The weekend he celebrated his birthday, and they're throwing him a little surprise one tonight. I don't know how the surprise was, that's why he told me he couldn't come, but they threw him a little party, and we wish you the best, right? We wish you the best. But he did give me a report, so boiler water treatment is going well. He talked about that last time. He and Paulie, our head custodian, has worked on cleaning zones. So our cleaners now have assignments and zones for the building, and in their absence, the other guys now know what zones to pick up and where to go. So I commend them on that work. The annex is completely cleaned and the dumpster has been removed. The air conditioner for our server has been installed, is up and running. 3 portable air conditioning units that they installed prior to the start of the school year to accommodate some of our special needs students. The Greenwood Roofing Company is scheduled to be on site this coming Wednesday to begin roof inspections and roof repairs. Numerous exit signs have been repaired throughout the building, including the ones back there. Our MSDS chemical compliance safety data sheets, he's in the process of filling out and getting them in a binder, and our certificate of occupancy certificates will be completed soon. Traffic and parking, things are running smoothly. I was out there the last 2 days, but we do need to encourage parents, try to drop off just a little bit quicker. We have parents just walking to the door, saying goodbye, which is great. But it does hold up the works at sometimes. So, and we have the park organized. Mrs. Russo and I are going to be working on organizing parking for our students as they have been taking up some of these staff spots, because day one, parking was interesting to say the least. But for some reason now, I've walked the parking lot the past 2 days. We do have 7 open spots, so we just need to organize that just a little bit better. I want to thank Mrs. Smackville and Mrs. Russo for their hard work on getting the kinks out of our new cafeteria layout. It was very conducive for our upper grade levels, but for the younger grade levels, we had a little work to do. But they were here late nights, making posters, putting up signage, getting extra tables, and we are good to go. Good to go. So thank you for that. Capital project work, I have to schedule another OACM meeting. We have I'm not sure, do we have a capital project committee meeting coming up?
Yes,
Yes.
When is that?
that
I don't think I
is
have it right.
September 26th at 6 p.m.
September 26th at 6 p.m. Thank you. And I still need to coordinate with Tara Sullivan for our BOCES marketing service. I'm going to share part of my report with Athletic Director Singleton, who's here tonight. She is going to provide you with some of our fall numbers.
Okay, we'll start with varsity football, and all football levels are merged with Hudson Falls. Varsity, we have 5 players in total. JV, we have no players, and modified, we have 9 players. Moving on to soccer, which is also merged, but with Argyle. Varsity soccer, we had no players. JV soccer, we had no players. And modified soccer, we have 3 players. Cross country, merged with Argyle, we have no players for boys or girls. And then volleyball, we have 11 players at varsity, 9 players at JV, and 12 at modified. And last is golf, which is merged with Argyle as well. We have 8 players in total.
Do you have any updates? I know this is a little bit on the spot of how the seasons have started. I know at Hudson Falls, they had the jug game this weekend. I believe that was a loss for us.
Yes, they won the first game prior, which was nice, they won their first game. and then
They won
lost the
week
second.
0?
Yep.
Very nice.
And mod soccer's, most of the other sports haven't had games. Volleyball will have a home game soon, for their first home game.
I believe we did not beat Hartford this past Friday. Is that correct? Varsity wise, not sure about the other levels. Thank you.
But now Hudson Falls football, or Hudson Falls, whatever, there is no JV team, is that
No.
correct? That's why all the kids are on varsity.
Yes,
Thank you.
that's why we have some 10th graders that are playing at the varsity level.
Did they get some, I didn't watch the game, but did they get some time in?
I didn't see the game per se either myself, I'm not sure.
I have talked to Mr. Brayman, Coach Brayman. He informed me that, how many do we have at the varsity level? 5. 3 of them are still garnering practices enough to play. And Aaron and I spoke to one student coming in. He was very disappointed he couldn't play the first game, but is hopeful to play against Scotia this Friday there. And I believe 2 players are eligible to play, and they are on all the special teams.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. One thing that I do want to present to the board, hopefully by October, and we'll be talking about at our personnel committee. Casey and I have thought about this, and I've talked about it with Aaron and Joyce. We do need a solid organizational chart with numbers. So for example, superintendent, 1, right? Administrators, 2. And then who they are in charge of. So for example, right now we have 12 TAs and 5 As. So that way, I think we should keep this organizational chart as up to date as possible because, for example, I went to you last month. We needed a new administrative assistant, and I think at one point we came for 1 additional TA and 1 A. I think it would benefit all of us to be like, okay, how many are we actually dealing with?
Absolutely.
You know, because I'm like, do they meaning you, do they even know how many TAs we have? So if you add 1 more, it'd be 13. So I'm going to work on it. So that's one thing that I would like us to do. And then at some point, the entire board would approve our organizational chart. Am I making sense? Okay. All right. NYSERDA Clean Green Schools Initiative. We applied for this program on August 4th. The cost of the initial survey is $106,000, but if the application is accepted by NYSERDA, they will cover the cost of the survey. So we have an application status update meeting this next Wednesday, and I'll inform you of the result of that meeting in my update on Monday, September 21st. DOT completed the study of the Broadway crosswalk and now has data to move forward to make changes and hopefully add a rapid flashing beacon crosswalk. They said that this will be completed early September, meaning the research. And I just want to publicly thank John Huggins of the Glens Falls Hospital for all his work in this endeavor, and he will continue to keep us posted. I want to thank all of you for coming to the last board retreat. I really appreciate all the attendance, and it helps us, and I think it will help our students when we can be united in the things that we do. So, speaking of that, I'd like to look, I'll try to do it through email because my report seems to be going a little long, so I apologize. But Tom would like to try to get things going maybe with mission, vision, and core values. So in our next meeting on October 10th, I'd like to put that as a discussion item. And so we can decide which way we're going to go. Are we going to do another full board workshop, or are we going to maybe have 3 members as a committee to work on that and then bring it to the entire board for potential approval? So I'd like you to think about that before the next meeting, and I will send out some emails with some October dates for at least another workshop, because I know we'd like to talk about possibly a board scholarship too. And we should work on the parameters of that if we decide to go that, and that'd be a good workshop agenda item as well. All right. And I've been trying to keep up with our X feed, formerly known as Twitter. And so I would ask anybody who's listening out there to keep up on that, follow us there. Ryan Herman has been great with taking things that I'm posting and putting them on the website as well. So please keep up with that and follow us on X. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Susan.
All right, mine's actually gonna be short this time. It's never happened before. However, it's just been a couple of weeks since our last meeting. We are 3 days into the new school year. Enrollment currently is 386 students. Over the past 3 days, we have had 97% attendance. Yeah, and multiple grades have had 100% attendance over the 3 days. We'll take it. Exactly, it's a great start. First day of school, we had class meetings with grades 6 through 12 individually. So each class came in, reviewed the code of conduct, talked about respect and how to treat people. Dr. O'Malley shared some words of wisdom with them all. And they were really good meetings. Kids participated, raised hands, asked questions, got some clarification. I've been in every elementary class at least once over the past 3 days, which is good. And the big deal is the new cafeteria furniture is the hot topic. Everybody's talking about it. Kids really like it. Kids were like, this is for us. So they were truly like touched that this great furniture is there for them. And that, you know, they were really thankful and just excited that people thought enough of them to provide them some great new furniture. Yeah, and it's really, it already is kind of cutting down the noise. We've got some round tables next to some long tables, so that kind of, you know, provides a buffer, and it's not, you know, kids trying to throw chocolate milk 28 seats down the table toward each other because they're separated a little bit more, and yeah, it's working really well. Positive feedback from the lunch people too, and the teachers. And I'm done.
I just want to add to your report, I just want to thank you and all the parents and our kids because it was a hot start. It was a very hot start. And the building, we have AC pockets, but most of the classroom, I cannot thank the teachers enough, especially those on the second floor and the third floor of the high school. It was pretty warm. It was pretty warm, but I heard minimal complaints. We had some windows open. I want to thank the custodians. They got here early to open up some windows. They were here late to make sure windows were open, and we could try to get hold of that colder air during those days. And the kids were great. The staff was great. Our custodians really worked hard. And Aaron, thank you for all of that. So I appreciate it.
Good job, thank you.
And to add to Aaron's good news, I'm just back after having COVID, so excuse me for
Welcome back.
this is the first week of school ever in my career. Thank you. We also added to downstairs a lunchroom library because we had a ton of books that we did not need in our library, and teachers said they were kind of not necessary for the classrooms because they haven't been needed. So to help give kids something else to do if they can't go outside or if they're done with lunch early, they have arts and craft ideas, and they have tons of books to read. And we're adding another one upstairs to the older kids, so when they're sitting having their lunch, a lot of them like to pick up a book, which is really nice to see. So just another way for, you know, free enjoyment, free reading, and it costs us nothing. So it's a wonderful asset to add to our lunch, and I think that also helps with the noise because they're engaged in something else instead of maybe arguing with their friends or talking across the table. It's a positive experience, so we like that a lot. Although Aaron's enrollment has gone up, my special enrollment has gone down. We had some key kids that moved like 2 days before school started, which adjusted staffing really, really fast. We moved with that. We updated busing, took care of all that. All of our busing is set. We have plenty of drivers. We don't have the extra though. They're literally, like, everyone's got jobs, everyone's got a good full schedule, they're all happy, they're all running. Fortunately, you know, we're covered. If we had to add another bus right now, we'd be looking for drivers. But other than that, we're, you know, running really smooth. still working on the Strawberry Connection project with Chris. We have some hurdles that we can jump through before we can submit it, which Aaron's gonna help a little bit because he's got the positivity project information. And then I'll talk with Rich as well to get some of his information to add to the project and try to go after, we're looking at a handicap accessible playground, which Chris had a very great idea. I have a friend that works for a playground company that matches anything that we make. So if we get 150, he'll give us 150. So some really nice assets like that, as well as positivity project will go underneath that. We're gonna add the SRO underneath that, and we're gonna add the rest of the amount from the psychologist into that, so it can be a full-time that we can actually own for at least 3 years. So all really positive things. It's all about the health and safety and wellness of our community. So it can only supplement, it cannot supplant, so it can't be things we already own, these things we did not own, and things that we can add that actually help make the community safer, more engaging, help social emotional growth. It's all about decreasing bullying and helping the school environment and culture. So I think that will do that. We're going to compete with everybody else. And fingers crossed, we'll get it.
Oh, awesome, great.
That's about it in my world.
Thank you.
Steve's birthday, so he's celebrating this evening. We got some information from March, let me know. Discussion items. Rich, we talked about the Board of Education scholarship, something we should discuss as a board at our next retreat. Something that we've kind of been throwing out there for a little bit, but maybe something that we all want to do for the school. Dissolution of certain committees. We talked about that at our board retreat. There's a couple of committees that haven't met in a while and probably are redundant. So, did we get any clarity on whether that's a resolution or that's just
I'm not sure, I haven't, but I'll check it out. Just for the notes, Casey, the ones that we were thinking about, just to refresh people's memory, curriculum and instruction. I would like to have our teachers report to us as a board on some programs and things that they're doing. So I think we can replace that if we can get some teachers to talk about some of the things going on in their classroom and the curriculum. Strategic planning, I can't articulate anything, I just know that that has never met since I've been aboard. Buildings and grounds, I think now that Steve is aboard and doing the ratings reports, I don't know if we need that. And health and safety, they just haven't met in my time. So I think we just need to look at what we want as a priority regarding those, and then I will get clarity from one of the attorneys to figure out.
We'll be on the agenda for next month's meeting, so just give some time, what you guys think about it. We think this should be removed, we'll do that, or maybe merge into something, we can do that this week, awesome. We'll go from there. Adopting committee meeting notes, we talked about that as well. So that's something I think we're going to do going forward. I think we had a consensus about when we're going to start adopting those committee meeting notes. So we'll probably do that the meeting after those minutes come out. So for instance, the committee meeting tonight will adopt in the October meeting. Right. The ASBO September 21st meeting, I don't know if any board members signed up for that. It's a tough night for a couple of us, because of things going on, so but we will have representatives there, I think, right?
We have, I know Mr. Wagner is going, our IT director. It's on AI, and he's all signed up to go.
It's going to be interesting, though, that AI thing.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Is there anybody that can make it on the 21st? Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, chat
And Dr. Daggett is a dynamic speaker. It'll go by. It won't be.
It's not going to be boring.
Correct. Thank you.
He's a great speaker.
Yeah. Okay.
And schoolhouse construction services?
Yes. Let's see. I would like us to. Want to put the resolution to adopt the contract or accept the contract at the October 10th meeting. So, and Tim, I know you had asked me at the last meeting, like, why them, and I don't think I articulated an answer, at least to my satisfaction. So let me try again.
I thought it was enough. this.
Oh, okay. All right, then I won't speak anymore.
Fresh and then we have experience with them, so that's fine.
Okay, all right,
What are we on next one?
all right, thank you for that.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Now I have a motion for A, B, C, and D.
Motion.
Is it go?
Yep.
I'll second it.
John, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. I'm also going to ask for action items together, but I do want to let you guys know that we need to amend A. In the contract, it states that another school district will be supplying materials needed for the work. I don't think they signed up. So
They have
we're gonna amend that to say Port Edward School District. So with that minor change, I'm gonna ask for a motion for action items A, B, and C.
Motion.
Tim? Taylor? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Personnel, all appointments subject to change in compensation, proration, pending emergency school closings, or required reduction in force, or coaching appointments are made pending completion, verification of all required coaching credentials with the stipend for FMTA contract, commensurate with experience, and no other salary or benefits. All coaching and extracurricular appointments are subject to reduction in compensation, proration, pending final student enrollment numbers, and pending the outcome of any potential mergers and emergency school closings. I need a motion for A, to accept the letter of resignation from Sarah Tucci, school psychologist, effective June 23rd.
Motion.
Tim?
Second.
Tel? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Letter of resignation from Lisa Corlew as student council advisor, effective September 7th, 23.
Motion.
Audrey?
Second.
Tim? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Accept letter of resignation from Corey Dixon as aide effective October 5th, 2023.
Motion.
Tim?
Second.
Taylor? All in favor?
Aye.
And accept the letter of resignation from Jason Matala as substitute bus driver effective August 31, 2023.
Motion.
Tim? John? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Appoint Nelson Chase as mentor effective September 1, 23 at a stipend rate of pay $1,000 per FMTA contract.
Motion.
Tim? Audra? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Appoint Joanna Scotch as mentor effective September 1, 23 at a stipend rate of pay $1,000 per FMTA contract. John?
Second.
I saw Taylor's hand go. Taylor. Any discussion? All in favor? Appoint Nicole Schilling as mentor effective September 1 at stipend rate of pay per $1,000 per FMTA contract.
Motion.
Tim? Audra? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Appoint Peyton Paquette as teaching assistant effective September 12th at a rate of pay of $16.79 per hour per the FESS contract. Taylor, is that a?
Yes, motion.
No, Audra has her pen up there.
Oh, no, I was just gonna check out the next.
Sorry, I took that as it. So I got Taylor, I got one, John. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Appoint John Walsh as teaching assistant effective September 12th, 23 at a rate of $16.79 per hour for the FESS contract. John?
Second.
Tim? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Appoint Justice Smith as aide effective September 12th, 23 at a rate of pay $15.35 per hour for the FESS contract.
Motion.
Taylor? Audra? All in favor?
Aye.
Appoint Susan McKenzie as clerk effective September 28, 23 at a rate of $33,512.37 for the FESS contract. John?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you everyone for stepping up to those positions. We have no coaching appointments. Has there been any, public comment?
Still no.
Anyone out there? Anything? All right, so I need a motion to enter into executive session to discuss negotiations as well as a personnel.
Second.
Tim? Board of Education members and other individuals invited to executive session are reminded that all matters discussed during executive session must be kept in the strictest confidence. All in favor?
Aye.
Good to go. We will be back. We will not have any